Hey there, my name is Huzaifa and I'm going to take you through this exciting chapter, Reflection of Light at Curved Surfaces. Hey, there's nothing wrong with your screen. This is just to make you understand the importance of light. You understand the importance of light when you don't have it. But the moment you have light, you can see everything around you. So why does this happen? This happens because light is a form of electromagnetic radiation that produces the sensation of vision. What exactly happens? What happens is when light rays fall on an object, for example me, so light falling on me is getting reflected and entering into your eye. And this is how you are able to see me. So now that we know what light exactly is, now let us understand certain properties of light. There are many properties of light. But as of now, we are going to study only two properties of light. For the first property, let me switch this torch on. So you just saw, the moment I switched the torch on, there was a beam of light which traveled in a straight line. And this is the first property of light, that is rectilinear propagation. So the word recti means straight, linear means arranged in a line, and propagation means to travel. So rectilinear propagation means light always travels in a straight line. So this was the first property of light. To understand the second property, let me have a plane mirror with me. And I'm going to tilt this torch. So now, what we are going to do is, we are going to switch the torch once again. You just saw that when I switched the torch on, there was a beam of light which went in a particular direction. And it bounced back from the plane mirror. And this bouncing back of light is called as reflection of light. So whenever light is incident on any surface, it bounces back. And this bouncing back of light is called as reflection of light. So after understanding reflection of light, there are certain parameters related to reflection of light which we need to understand. And we can only understand them by drawing the ray diagram of the incidence of light. So right now, we know that this particular ray that is going towards the mirror is called as the incident ray because it is getting incident on the plane mirror. Now this point that you see, this point is the point of incidence. So you always draw a normal from the point of incidence. So what is a normal? A normal is an imaginary perpendicular, and this normal is a perpendicular to this mirror. So always remember that the normal is always at the point of incidence. Now we know that the incident ray is going towards the mirror, and this particular ray, what will this ray be called as? Since it is getting reflected, this ray would be called as the reflected ray. Now you can see that between the incident ray and the normal, we have a particular angle. Similarly, we have an angle between the reflected ray and the normal. So here this angle that you see is called as the angle of incidence. And this angle of incidence is denoted by small letter I. Now you think, what would this angle be called as? Obviously this angle would be called as the angle of reflection, which is denoted by small letter r. So this is the angle of incidence and this is the angle of reflection. Now remember this, angle of incidence is always the angle between the incident ray and the normal, not the incident ray and the mirror. This is very important point to be considered. Now there are certain laws that we need to understand related to reflection, and these are called as the laws of reflection, which are very simple. Now let's talk about the first law. The first law says that the incident ray, the normal that is to the mirror which is at the point of incidence, and the reflected ray, they all lie in the same plane. They can be drawn on a sheet of paper or on a piece of paper. Now when you talk about these two angles, that is the angle of incidence and the angle of reflection, you will always notice that the angle of incidence is always equal to the angle of reflection. Which means that if the angle of incidence is 20 degrees, angle of reflection would be 20 degrees. If this is 30 degrees, then angle of reflection would also be 30 degrees. Just to summarize, we have studied that light is a form of electromagnetic radiation that produces the sensation of vision. And we have studied two properties of light: rectilinear propagation, which means light travels in a straight line, and reflection of light, and two laws of reflection. The first law is the incident ray, the normal to the mirror at the point of incidence, and the reflected ray, they all lie in the same plane. And the angle of incidence is equal to the angle of reflection.